dive into today's episode, I just want to remind you to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us. It helps us grow, reach more amazing learners like you, and keep bringing you fresh and fun content every week. So don't forget, like, subscribe, and let's keep this journey going strong. Hello, incredible listeners, and a huge warm welcome back to another eagerly anticipated episode of Idiom Insights. I'm Emma, your dedicated guide through the truly fascinating and sometimes perplexing world of English idioms. I'm always excited to delve deep, uncover the intriguing stories, and clarify the nuanced meanings behind these wonderfully colorful phrases that make English so rich. It's absolutely wonderful and a real privilege to have you joining us on this ongoing linguistic journey today.
And I'm Jack, your ever-enthusiastic co-pilot here at Idiom Insights, fully prepared and ready to navigate the delightful twists and often surprising turns of idiomatic English. My aim, as always, is to do so hopefully with a bit of charm, a good dose of clarity, and maybe, just maybe, a hint of witty wordplay thrown in for good measure. It's genuinely great to be back in the studio, Emma, and a massive hello to everyone tuning in from all corners of the globe. We appreciate you lending us your ears.
It's always such a pleasure to share this space with you, Jack. Today, we have curated a fantastic collection of 4 rather distinct idioms lined up for our exploration. These are phrases that you will almost certainly hear popping up in everyday conversations among native English speakers, and really getting to grips with them will not only significantly improve your comprehension skills, but also equip you with some genuinely natural-sounding and expressive ways to articulate your own thoughts and feelings. So, get ready to add some truly useful and versatile tools to your ever-expanding English toolkit.
Absolutely, Emma. These particular idioms are fantastic because they cover such a broad range of common situations, emotions, and human experiences. We're talking about everything from describing sudden, abrupt actions to understanding and expressing caution about deceptive appearances, clarifying moments of confusion, and even talking about undertaking seemingly impossible tasks or dealing with things that are definitely not what they initially seem. It's a wonderfully varied and incredibly practical group we have for our listeners today. So, without further ado, here are the 4 fantastic idioms we'll be diving into in this episode of Idiom Insights. Our first idiom, which is all about stopping something very suddenly, is cold turkey. Second on our list is a rather evocative phrase for something that appears valuable on the surface, but in reality isn't. Fool's gold. Third, we have an idiom that perfectly describes putting in an extreme, almost superhuman effort. Move heaven and earth. And finally, our 4th idiom is a somewhat less than polite, but very common way to ask someone to be quiet. Put a sock in it.
Oh, those are a wonderfully eclectic mix, Jack. Some of them sound quite dramatic and impactful, like move heaven and earth, while others, like put a sock in it, definitely have a bit of a blunt edge to them. I'm really looking forward to exploring the nuances and origins of each one with you.
Me too, Emma. They're all incredibly common in spoken English, so understanding them is key. And before we jump headfirst into our first intriguing idiom, just a quick and friendly reminder from both of us here at Idiom Insights. If you're finding these episodes genuinely helpful in your language learning journey, and of course enjoying learning about these curious phrases, please do show your valuable support by subscribing or following our podcast on your favorite listening platform.
Yes, indeed. Subscribing is the best way to ensure you won't miss out on any of our future episodes. And every time you give us a like, or even better, leave a positive review, it truly helps more enthusiastic language learners from all over the world discover Idiom Insights. Your engagement, your comments, your shares, they all make a real tangible difference to us and help our community grow. Thank you so much for your continued support. It means the world.
It genuinely, truly does. Right then, Emma, shall we kick off our linguistic exploration with our very first idiom of the day? Let's start with cold turkey. So, Emma, what exactly does it mean to stop something cold turkey? Does it by any chance involve some sort of chilled poultry at a Thanksgiving dinner?
No, thankfully, no actual frostbitten turkeys are involved in this idiom, Jack, much to the relief of turkeys everywhere. The idiom cold turkey is specifically used when you stop doing something abruptly, suddenly, and completely, especially when that something is a habit. often a bad habit, or even an addiction. The key here is that you don't do it gradually, by tapering off. You stop immediately and entirely, often with little to no warning.
Ah, I see. So it's all about quitting something instantly without any of that gentle easing out of it or meticulous preparation. For instance, if someone makes a firm decision to stop eating refined sugar, and from that very day onwards, they consume absolutely no sugar at all. No sneaky little bit of cake, no sugary fizzy drinks, not a single sugary treat. They just stop. Period. That would be them stopping cold turkey.
Precisely. That's a perfect and very relatable example, Jack. It's most frequently used in conversations about habits that are notoriously difficult to break, such as smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, or even more contemporary habits like consuming excessive amounts of junk food, binge-watching television series, or spending too much time on social media. If you decide one day, that's it, I've had enough, I'm never doing this again, and you cease that activity right away, without any phasing out period, you are indeed stopping cold turkey.
It really implies a significant level of willpower and also inherent difficulty, doesn't it? Because quitting something you've become accustomed to, particularly something that has developed into an addiction, is an incredibly hard thing to do. Stopping cold turkey is generally considered the most challenging method because you have to confront all the cravings, withdrawal symptoms, or psychological dependencies head-on, immediately and intensely.
It absolutely does. The phrase itself is quite evocative and is thought to originate from the physical symptoms experienced by people who abruptly stop an addictive substance. They might get goosebumps and their skin might become pale and clammy, supposedly resembling the skin of a plucked, uncooked turkey. So the term vividly captures that sensation of sudden withdrawal, the associated discomfort, and perhaps even a feeling of shock to the system. Therefore, it's a very powerful and descriptive way to say you stopped something completely and immediately.
So, to clarify, if I were to make a solemn vow to stop procrastinating on my work, and from this moment forward, I start doing all my tasks right away, without putting them off even for a single minute, could I then say I stopped procrastinating cold turkey?
You certainly could, yes. Although, it must be said, stopping procrastination cold turkey might be one of the most challenging things for anyone to do successfully. The essence of the idiom is that sudden, definite, and often difficult cessation of a behavior. There's no looking back, no easing out of it. You just quit, right here, right now.
Okay, I think I've got a solid grasp on cold turkey now. It clearly means stopping a habit or a specific behavior suddenly, completely, and immediately, often with a degree of difficulty. Are you ready to hear our characters, Mia and Mark, use this idiom in a quick, illustrative chat?
Absolutely. Let's listen in. I'm curious to see what habit one of them might be attempting to conquer by going cold turkey.
Hey, Mark, I couldn't help but notice you didn't order a coffee this morning. That's really unusual for you. You typically have at least 2 cups by this time of day. What's up?
Yeah, well, I've come to the rather stark conclusion that I really need to cut down on my caffeine intake significantly. I was drinking way too much coffee every single day, and it was starting to affect my sleep.
Oh, I see. So are you planning on trying to reduce your consumption gradually? Perhaps cutting down to just 1 coffee a day for the first week and then maybe 1 every other day?
No, I actually thought about that approach, but I know myself too well. If I don't stop completely and immediately, I'll just keep finding excuses and making exceptions for myself. So I've made the firm decision to quit coffee cold turkey. No more caffeine for me whatsoever, starting from today.
Wow, cold turkey? That sounds incredibly tough, Mark, especially with the potential for those caffeine withdrawal headaches. I really admire your determination. Good luck with that, seriously. I genuinely hope it goes well for you.
Thanks, Mia. I think I'm definitely going to need all the luck I can get. Wish me luck getting through this afternoon slump without my usual crutch.
See how Mark used it there so clearly? He didn't want to try and reduce his coffee intake slowly over time. He decided to stop drinking it immediately and completely. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's a perfect example of quitting cold turkey.
Exactly. And Mia's slightly surprised reaction, wow, cold, clearly shows that she understood this to be the abrupt and often much more challenging way to stop a habit. His choice of words makes his commitment sound very strong and resolute.
It's a very common and remarkably clear idiom for that specific action of immediate and total cessation. Very little ambiguity with this one.
It really is. So, the next time you hear about someone stopping a habit suddenly and completely, Or if you find yourself deciding to stop one yourself in such a decisive manner, remember the expressive idiom cold turkey.
And we'd be fascinated to hear from our listeners. Have you ever quit something cold turkey? Or perhaps, is there something you tried to quit cold turkey but found it too difficult? Please share your personal stories and experiences in the comments section below this episode.
That's a great idea, Jack. Let's move on now to our second intriguing idiom in this insightful episode of Idiom Insights. This one has a lovely, almost cautionary descriptive name.
Indeed it does. Our second idiom for today is fool's gold.
Fool's gold. Now, this immediately sounds like it's about something that looks incredibly valuable or appealing on the surface, but in reality isn't quite what it seems, right? Like something that cleverly tricks you into thinking it's precious, genuine gold.
You've absolutely nailed the core idea there, Emma. The idiom fool's gold literally comes from the mineral pyrite. Pyrite is a common iron sulfide mineral which is notably yellow and has a metallic luster, causing it to look quite a bit like real gold, especially to the untrained eye. However, it's actually a very common mineral with very little intrinsic economic value. The idiom beautifully uses this image to refer to anything, an object, an idea, an opportunity that appears valuable, attractive, or highly promising on the surface, but is actually worthless, useless, or turns out to be a significant disappointment when you examine it more closely or invest time or money in it.
So it's fundamentally about something that deceives you with its alluring appearance of value or worth. It sparkles and glitters, looking for all the world like authentic gold, but it critically lacks the substance, the true properties, or the inherent value of real gold. It effectively leads a fool, or someone naive or easily tricked, to believe it's gold when it most certainly is not.
Exactly right. It's all about that deceptive appearance of worth, that superficial shine. This concept can apply to a multitude of things in life. For example, maybe a new business opportunity sounds absolutely amazing on paper, promising huge profits with minimal effort required. But when you start to investigate the details, you discover it's actually a scam, a pyramid scheme, or simply won't generate any money at all. That seemingly brilliant business opportunity was, in fact, fool's gold.
Or, to take another common scenario, perhaps a new gadget or product is advertised with incredible, almost unbelievable claims, and boasts a very sleek, modern design, looking like the next big thing. But then, when you purchase it and try to use it, it breaks almost immediately, or it simply doesn't work as promised in the advertisements. That product could very accurately be described as fool's gold. It looked fantastic and promised the world, but possessed no real quality, durability, or underlying value.
It perfectly captures that common human feeling of being tricked, misled, or ultimately disappointed by something that initially looks so promising and appealing. And it's not just physical objects. It can even apply to more abstract things like grand promises or even ideologies. Someone might make magnificent promises about what they will do for you or for a community, promises which sound absolutely wonderful and inspiring. But if they never follow through on those commitments and the promises turn out to be completely empty, they were just offering fool's gold.
It really is all about that deceptive surface shine that cleverly hides a fundamental lack of real substance, genuine quality, or true value. It makes you think of that other well-known saying, all that glitters is not gold.
Precisely. So, to sum up, fool's gold means something that looks valuable, attractive, or promising, but is actually worthless, useless, or deceptive upon closer inspection. Are you ready to hear Mia and Mark use this insightful idiom in their conversation?
Let's definitely listen in. I wonder if they are discussing a disappointing purchase, a misleading offer, or perhaps an opportunity that simply wasn't what it seemed to be at first glance.
Hey Mia, do you remember that online course I enthusiastically bought last month? The one that confidently promised to teach me a brand new language in just one single week with their supposed revolutionary and groundbreaking method?
Oh yeah, I think I recall that one. Was it the one with the really flashy, high production value video ads and tons of glowing testimonials from satisfied customers? Did you actually finish it? And more importantly, are you fluent in your new language now?
Fluent? I'm not even close to being conversational. It was so incredibly disappointing, Mia. The course content turned out to be super basic, almost laughably so. It was mostly just linking out to freely available resources online that I could easily have found myself with a quick search. and their much-hyped revolutionary method was essentially just listening to the same few rudimentary phrases on repeat. It looked absolutely amazing and so professional on the website, but the actual educational content was practically worthless.
Oh no, Mark, that sounds truly terrible. What a letdown. So, if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying it was all just fool's gold? It looked incredibly shiny and promised you a massive return on your investment, but it ultimately had no real substance or value to offer?
Exactly. Complete and utter fool's gold. I essentially wasted my money on the slick appearance and the persuasive marketing, not on anything substantial or genuinely educational. I've definitely learned my lesson from that experience. Always dig deeper.
That dialogue perfectly and vividly illustrates the concept of fool's gold. The online course had a very shiny, impressive, and professional-looking appearance, and it made some very big, enticing promises. But the actual content, the learning experience, and the ultimate value were practically non-existent.
Yes, indeed. The outward appearance was clearly deceptive, leading Mark to believe it was valuable, genuine gold when, in reality, it was just worthless pyrite. Or in this case, a poorly designed course. It powerfully highlights that stark contrast between how something looks on the surface and what its actual underlying worth truly is.
It's a very useful and descriptive idiom for accurately describing things that are superficially appealing and attractive, but ultimately turn out to be disappointing, useless, or even a complete waste of time and money.
It certainly is. So, the next time you encounter something that looks almost too good to be true, and then, upon closer examination, turns out to be utterly worthless or misleading, you can aptly describe it as fool's gold.
And of course, we'd love to hear from our listeners again. Have you ever encountered some form of fool's gold in your life? Was it a product that didn't live up to its hype? A seemingly amazing opportunity that fizzled out? Or something else entirely? Please share your illustrative examples in the comments section below the episode.
That's a wonderful idea, Jack. Let's move on now to our third and rather dramatic sounding idiom in this episode of Idiom Insights. This one really talks about making an absolutely extreme, all-out effort.
You're right about the drama. Our third idiom for today is move heaven and earth.
Move heaven and earth. Wow, Jack, that sounds like a truly colossal, almost unimaginable effort, one that involves attempting to shift the entire universe itself. What does this incredibly powerful idiom actually mean?
It certainly does sound big, powerful, and almost cosmically significant. The idiom move heaven and earth means to do absolutely everything possible, to make a supreme, extraordinary, or even Herculean effort, and to overcome any conceivable obstacle, no matter how daunting, in order to achieve a particular, often highly important, goal or result. It implies an effort so immense and so determined that it's metaphorically like trying to change the fundamental, unchangeable order of the universe, like physically moving the sky, representing heaven, and the very ground beneath our feet, earth.
I see. So, it's essentially about doing absolutely everything within your power, leaving no single stone unturned, and making an utterly immense and exhaustive effort to make something specific happen. It's typically reserved for situations where the desired goal is incredibly important, deeply significant, and very difficult to achieve, thus requiring the absolute maximum possible effort and dedication.
Exactly. You've captured the essence perfectly. If you say that you would move heaven and earth to help a friend in desperate need, it signifies that you would do literally anything and everything possible. You would go to the most extreme lengths. You would willingly overcome huge difficulties and personal sacrifices, all to assist them. It's a very potent way of emphasizing the profound depth of your commitment and the truly extraordinary, almost limitless effort you are willing to make for that person or cause.
It's very often used when someone is striving to achieve something exceptionally difficult or critically important. For instance, if a company is under immense pressure to finish a huge, complex project by a very tight and seemingly impossible deadline, the project manager might rally the team by saying, "We need to move heaven and earth to get this project completed and delivered on time." This means they expect everyone to make an extreme, all-out effort, work extra long hours, creatively solve every problem that arises immediately, and basically do everything humanly and perhaps even almost superhumanly possible.
Or consider parents who are desperate to get their child into a highly sought-after specific school. They might declare that they will move heaven and earth to make that happen. This implies they will meticulously fill out countless complicated application forms, diligently attend every single informational meeting, persuasively write numerous letters of appeal, tirelessly make endless phone calls, and essentially do whatever it takes, no matter how arduous or frustrating the process might be.
It really does powerfully convey the idea of an effort so significant, so all-consuming, that it feels as though you are genuinely attempting to alter the natural order of things, to bend reality itself, in order to achieve your deeply desired goal. It's a remarkably strong and vivid way to emphasize unwavering determination and supreme, almost boundless effort.
So, to reiterate, move heaven and earth means to make a supreme or extraordinary effort, doing absolutely everything possible to achieve a specific goal, and overcoming all obstacles that stand in the way. Are you ready to hear Mia and Mark use this dramatic idiom in their conversation?
Yes, let's listen in. Perhaps one of them is describing a truly huge and impressive effort made by someone they know, or maybe even by themselves.
Oh, Mark, I heard some distressing news that Sarah's beloved cat Whiskers went missing last week. She must have been absolutely distraught and worried sick. Did she manage to find him in the end?
Oh yes, thankfully she did. But you're right, she was so incredibly worried and upset. She told me she would move heaven and earth to get him back safely. And honestly, I think she really did.
Wow, move heaven and earth? That's a strong statement. What did she actually do to find him? It must have been quite an ordeal.
She did everything you could possibly imagine, and then probably even more on top of that. She painstakingly put up hundreds of missing cat posters all over the entire neighborhood. She personally knocked on every single door on her street and the surrounding streets, asking people to please check their garages, sheds, and backyards. She relentlessly posted updates and pleas on every local social media group multiple times a day. She even organized search parties with her friends and neighbors every evening, combing the area. She barely slept for 2 whole days. She was just completely and utterly focused on finding Whiskers. She really did make an unbelievable, almost superhuman effort.
That's absolutely incredible. It truly sounds like she really did move heaven and earth for Whiskers. I'm so incredibly glad and relieved that she found him after all that monumental effort and dedication.
Me too, Mia. Her dedication was truly amazing and inspiring to witness. It just shows how much she loves that cat.
That dialogue perfectly and powerfully captures the profound meaning of move heaven and earth. Sarah's effort wasn't just a case of putting up a couple of posters and hoping for the best. She did absolutely everything she possibly could, going to truly extreme lengths because finding her beloved cat was so critically important to her.
Exactly. Mark's detailed description of all her numerous and tireless actions strongly reinforces the idea that it was indeed an extraordinary, all-consuming effort, making her use of the idiom very fitting, deeply resonant, and highly impactful.
It's a truly great idiom for those specific moments in life when someone goes far above and beyond the call of duty, making a genuinely supreme and selfless effort for something or someone they care very deeply about.
It certainly is. So the next time you want to describe someone making an immense, all-out, truly exhaustive effort to achieve something significant, remember the powerful idiom, move heaven and earth.
And once again, we'd be thrilled to hear from you. Tell us about a time when you, or perhaps someone you know, had to move heaven and earth to achieve something incredibly important, or overcome a major challenge. Share your inspiring stories in the comments below.
That's a wonderful prompt, Jack. Now, we've arrived at our 4th and final idiom for this particular episode of Idiom Insights. This one, I must say, is quite direct and to the point.
You're not wrong there, Emma. Our final idiom for today is, put a sock in it.
Put a sock in it. This one definitely sounds like it means be quiet or stop talking, but perhaps in a slightly rude, informal, or even exasperated way. Am I on the right track with that interpretation, Jack?
You've absolutely hit the nail squarely on the head, Emma. Put a sock in it is indeed an informal and quite direct, often considered slightly impolite or abrupt, way of telling someone to stop talking, to be quiet, or to stop making a disruptive noise. The mental image it conjures is quite funny and rather graphic. Imagine literally trying to stuff a sock into someone's mouth to physically prevent them from speaking. It definitely and rather forcefully conveys the idea of silencing someone, often out of annoyance.
Yes, that image is very clear and quite memorable. It strongly implies that you are finding their talking, their chatter, or the noise they are making to be annoying, excessive, or distracting, and you want them to stop immediately. It's certainly not a gentle, polite request to be quiet, like, "Could you please lower your voice?" It's a much more forceful, almost impatient command.
Exactly. It carries a certain weight of exasperation. You wouldn't typically say this to your boss in a board meeting, or to a respected elder, or to anyone with whom you want to maintain a very polite and formal relationship. However, you might say it, perhaps somewhat playfully or out of genuine frustration, to a close friend, a sibling, or a family member. Or maybe you'd use it in a situation where you're feeling particularly frustrated by someone's incessant talking, loud laughter, or other distracting noise. For example, if your friends are chattering nonstop and making a racket while you're desperately trying to concentrate on an important task, you might exclaim, "Okay guys, I'm really trying to focus here. Please put a sock in it for a minute or two."
It definitely has that distinct tone of, "That's quite enough talking now," or "I've had enough of this noise." It can sometimes be used humorously or teasingly between very close friends who understand your personality and know you don't mean it with genuine malice. However, if used in the wrong context, with the wrong person, or with a particularly harsh tone of voice, it can most certainly sound quite rude and dismissive. So context and tone are key with this one.
It's significantly less polite than saying something like, "Excuse me, would you mind being a little quieter?" Or, "Could you please keep the noise down a bit?" It directly expresses impatience, annoyance, or even anger with the noise or the talking. It's a command, not a request.
So to summarize, "Put a sock in it" is an informal, very direct, and sometimes impolite way to tell someone to stop talking or stop making noise, often because you find it particularly annoying, distracting, or disruptive. Are you ready to hear Mia and Mark use this rather blunt idiom?
Let's definitely listen in. I have a strong suspicion that someone might be making a little bit too much noise for the other person's liking in this scenario.
And then, you absolutely won't believe this, he just completely tripped over his own feet in front of everyone, and the whole massive stack of important papers he was carrying went flying absolutely everywhere. It was utterly hilarious. And then, after that, he tried to,
Mark, could you perhaps quiet down just a little bit, please? I'm really trying to concentrate on finishing this urgent report before my rapidly approaching deadline. I'm under a lot of pressure here.
"Oh gosh, sorry Mia. I didn't realize you were trying to focus so intensely right now. I was just getting carried away telling you about that epic fail at the office party last night. It was quite something."
Look, Mark, I'm sure it's a very funny story, and I'd love to hear it later, but you've been talking nonstop at a pretty high volume for the last 10 minutes, right next to my ear, and I genuinely can't hear myself think. Please, Mark, I'm begging you, just put a sock in it for a little while so I can actually finish this vital piece of work. I desperately need some quiet.
Okay. Message received loud and clear. My apologies, Mia. I'll be as quiet as a mouse. I genuinely didn't realize I was being that loud or distracting. My bad.
That dialogue perfectly and quite amusingly illustrates the idiom, "put a sock in it." Mark was clearly being loud and highly distracting with his story, and Mia, after her initial more polite request didn't quite achieve the desired result, resorted to using "put a sock in it" to directly and clearly, if a bit frustratedly and impatiently, tell him to stop talking so she could concentrate on her work.
Yes, it clearly shows that this idiom is often used when the noise or talking is causing significant annoyance, frustration, or is actively preventing you from doing something important. Mia used it when she was clearly feeling quite stressed and exasperated and needed the disruptive noise to stop immediately.
It's a very useful idiom to know, especially so you understand its meaning and implication if someone says it to you or around you, and also so you know when it's potentially appropriate, usually only among close friends or family who won't be easily offended, or more importantly, when it's highly inappropriate to use it yourself. Awareness of its impact is crucial.
Absolutely. It's a very common phrase in informal English, but it's essential to remember its inherently informal and blunt nature. So, the next time you find yourself in a situation where you urgently need someone to stop talking or making noise, and you feel comfortable being that direct with them, you could consider using the idiom put a sock in it. But do use it with caution.
And for our final audience interaction prompt today, we'd love to hear if you've ever heard someone else say, put a sock in it. Or perhaps you can recall a specific situation where you really wanted to say it, but perhaps thought better of it. Share your amusing or relatable experiences in the comments below.
We always genuinely appreciate and enjoy reading all your comments and stories. Well, Jack, that brings us to the end of our exploration. We've successfully explored 4 more fantastic and highly useful idioms in this episode of Idiom Insights.
We certainly have, Emma. It's been another great session. Just to quickly recap for everyone who has been tuning into Idiom Insights today, the 4 idioms we learned and discussed were, first, cold turkey, which, as we learned, means to stop a habit or a particular behavior suddenly, completely, and without any gradual phasing out. Second, we had fool's gold, referring to something that appears valuable, attractive, or promising on the surface, but upon closer inspection is actually worthless, deceptive, or a major disappointment. Third on our list was move heaven and earth, a powerful idiom meaning to make an extraordinary, supreme effort or to do everything humanly possible to achieve a particularly important goal. And finally, we covered put a sock in it, which is an informal, direct, and often slightly impolite way to tell someone to stop talking or stop making noise, usually because it's annoying or distracting.
That's 4 more great practical idioms to add to your ever-growing English vocabulary. Remember, dear listeners, that actively listening to how native speakers use these idioms in various contexts and then bravely trying to use them yourself in your own conversations are truly the best and most effective ways to learn, internalize, and remember them.
Absolutely, Emma. Practice makes perfect, as they say. Consciously look for opportunities to incorporate these new phrases into your daily English conversations, or even just practice writing different sentences with them to get a better feel for their usage.
And if you genuinely enjoyed learning with us today, and we sincerely hope that you did, please do consider giving this episode of Idiom Insights a thumbs up or a like, and perhaps even leaving us a positive review on your preferred podcast platform. Your support truly helps us reach more learners and continue producing this content.
And most importantly, make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button for Idiom Insights so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes where we'll continue exploring the weird, wonderful, and often wacky world of English idioms. We have many more to share.
Thank you all so very much for joining us today and for your continued enthusiasm. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us on Idiom Insights. We value your time and your eagerness to learn.
Keep practicing those idioms, keep exploring the richness of the English language, and we'll look forward to talking to you again next time.
Goodbye for now, everyone. Stay curious.
See you later, language lovers.